Hi, hello everyone. Welcome into That Sounds Gay. My name is Jer, and we are here with Jesse. Oh,
Did that sound gay?
I think that sounded really gay, actually.
I always trying to charge a gay sound, like have a gay sound stored within me and then release it.
I like it.
And so when you say that sounds gay, I'm always like, what is the gay sound of the day?
What is it today?
Today was a little...
Welcome to That Sounds Gay. Today's sounding gay is...
It's like you with like what's called a xylophone. It's like, do, do, do. Today's gay sound is...
Let me get the Princess Diaries.
Oh my God.
Is that what you were referencing?
Oh my God. Yeah, totally.
We reference Princess Diaries way too often.
Well, but also not enough.
It's a good rubric. Drag Race Genovia when? I'm waiting. Signature pear challenge. Mini. Pear wine.
Oh my gosh.
Step on pears and make wine.
She already done had pearses.
Yes. Who's your queen? And it's all Julie Andrews.
Oh my God. Angeria Pears Van Michaels.
Pear is? That's evil. Okay. So for our listeners at home, it has only been a short week. But for us, it's been 2.
It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years. You saw Drag Race Vegas live.
Baby, we made it.
We made him. And slamming the door. Baby, we made it. I don't remember all the lyrics. Okay, so tell me about your encounter with the show. Encounters of the 5th kind. 6th kind?
Yes.
8th kind?
Yes.
Would you see? How was the setup? Did you live?
So I went on a Friday night. I went to the 9:30 show because they had a 7:00 show and they had a 9:30 show.
Oh, cool.
Before the show, I had the pleasure of going into the workroom because it's at the Flamingo. And I didn't even show you. It's hard. You can kind of tell. I took this one in wide. So they have like a pink workroom. They had all of the RuPaul chocolate bars. If I hadn't been walking around the strip for the rest of the night, I would have bought a RuPaul chocolate bar. But I was like, it was 9:30. I was about to sit through a show, and then I walked till like 2 a.m. So I was like, this thing's gonna be gone.
Oh yeah.
By the time I get back, yeah. But I got to walk around the workroom, see a bunch of like Ru things, which was really fun, and then I went to the theater. I can't remember if I showed you videos, but I'm going to show you as I'm telling you. So I had really good seating.
Yes.
They have it set up like stage with a runway. So I was basically at a little table at the end of like the runway where the stairs go down. And they were playing like different Rusicals in the time leading up to it.
Oh, they're doing Madonna right now.
Yeah, so they played like Madonna, they played Glamazonian Airways.
That's
like
so
they just
fun.
cycled through all the different Rusicals like in the dead time. So the show, when the cast was supposed to be Kylie Sonique Love, Plain Jane, Ginger Minj, Jada Essence Hall, Morphine Love Dion, and Asia O'Hara.
All mothers.
So we were missing 2. And I didn't even realize 2 were missing. I thought 1 was missing at first. So we had 1 alternate and then just 1 empty spot.
Got it.
But Jada wasn't there and Kylie wasn't there, which broke my heart. And you already know this because I texted you. I literally like let out like a guttural scream when she came out. The fucking alternate for Kylie was Derek Barry.
Yes.
And I said before I think you on the
said
pod,
it here.
and definitely to my part, I was like, if there is an alternate, if someone calls out, I just want it to be Derek Barry.
It's got to be
like
Derek.
I'd love if it was Coco,
Sure.
but I want it to be Derek Barry.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got motherfucking Derek Barry on the line.
Derek motherfucking
She
Barry.
showed up. She served. She spun with knives.
Yeah.
It was everything. But the show was really good. I made sustained eye contact with Plain Jane, which was exhilarating.
Oh, I love that.
Morphine performed to Meeting in the Ladies' Room, which was also exhilarating.
Oh, she looks hot.
They like came out and they each did like a decade.
Oh, cool.
And so Morphine was the I think she was the 80s, which was meeting in the ladies'
Mm-hmm.
room. But she slayed and she looked amazing. I mean, everyone looked really good. It was really fun. Nick, aka Lazy Susan, was the leader of the pit crew for Vegas. So he got like a lot of like showtime and feature, and he was very gorgeous and stunning in person. I was very much into what he was serving.
I remember you mentioned that you were staring.
I was, yes.
You were enjoying.
Well, yes.
Well.
But yeah, Derek Barry being there was the fantasy, and that was everything I ever needed.
I love that so much. I'm glad you got Derek. I'm sad you didn't get Kylie because I know how badly you wanted to see her.
I really wanted Kylie, and I was also bummed Jada wasn't there, but I was super glad Morphine was there. And I mean, the whole cast was great, and Derek Barry being there was just... it was just everything I needed, so it was all right.
She shot in the mother toilet.
Absolutely. So I would definitely go again. Next time I go to Vegas, I'm definitely going to see the show again because it was a hoot.
Do you feel like you got the full Drag Race experience that you wanted to get?
I think so, yeah. It was everything I wanted. It was fun to see them do the numbers, like losing is the new winning, the mirror song, all of that. The whole time they were doing the mirror song, I was kind of chuckling to myself. I'm like, do they enjoy doing this?
Yeah, right.
Like, this is so much.
The silliness of it all.
Yeah, but it was fun, and it was... I also was very intentional. I wanted to see it the night I made it to Vegas so I could get there and then go see see them perform Baby We Made It. I was like, this is fun. But no, it was great. The drinks at the Flamingo were super strong, so would recommend.
Nice. There's a winner at the end each night, right? Who won your episode?
Yeah, there's a winner, and it's usually like audience cheers, which I'm like, so is it the same winner every night? Morphine won.
Of course.
We cheered for her the loudest. If it wasn't her, probably would have been either... It might have been Asia. I don't know. Everyone got loud cheers, but... Morphine got the loudest cheers.
I love that.
People were really living for what she was serving, as was I. So
if it was Kylie, you would have been like on a megaphone that you brought in.
Yeah,
You'd have been like,
whoa! So she won. I'm pretty sure she got a lap dance from Nick.
Period.
If I remember correctly. So that was fun.
I'm so glad you got to go.
Me too. It was exhilarating, truly.
Good. Ugh, that makes me so happy. Okay, so let's get into this gig and let's get into the finale.
Finally, it's happening to me.
My face, and it's right. It was Aja and Nina Bonina Brown, but I feel like someone else did it.
They did it again for something, but I don't remember what. Oh, it was Anitra and Jax.
That's what it was.
Is that next season?
15?
Yeah.
That's in like
35 seasons. Yeah.
Last time we had a pretty bulky episode. We talked about ASPCA queens. We evaluated Glamazonian prime outfits, the fart jokes of Daytona wins, some 60s girl groups, and menses at DragCon. We also talked about 2 episodes that had 0 eliminations, a double save of Georges and Jasmine. And we have more non-elims coming up. So many more. I think there's 3 in this segment.
Like, what you just broke down could have been an entire season.
Literally, it was. It was half the season. So we are jumping into episode 10, Snatch Game, which is yet another non-elim episode. And so what I want to pick your brain about, and I want to chat about this before we even talk about this flop of a thing. If someone did go home last week, would the lip sync SmackDown have happened this week? Or would they just not do it? Because theoretically, they would have been whittled down, and then it would have been a top 6 lip sync SmackDown if it was scheduled. And a 6-person SmackDown doesn't seem substantial.
No, but I think they either had it planned for 7 or 8,
Mm,
and then the Snatch Game just worked out enough that they were like, well, we can stretch this to be this so that we can make next week that.
maybe.
That's kind of how I think it could be, but I don't know. It's weird to think it was like a plan. I mean, it had to be a planned thing because they have to get those songs, but like,
Right.
it's weird to think of like how this challenge was approached, because obviously it
Right.
wasn't like scrapped up the day of. Like,
It
there
could have
had to
been.
been true, but I feel like there feels like there was like some sense of premeditation, but it's like, for what purpose?
Yeah.
Like, it's like this was like a backup plan, or this was on the radar somehow, but
Yeah.
why?
I can move this if you want.
No, I'm just being weird and like trying to like stretch my legs.
You're
Okay, no,
fine.
this is gorgeous.
Gorgeous, girls.
Gorgeous scale.
So that was what I was curious about. Was, I mean, obviously when they talk about the iPods, a lot of the girls have said there's like 40 songs on there, probably to make sure that they're super unknown on what they're going to actually lip sync to. So there's definitely 20 plus songs that are just sitting around that they could use any season. So like, I wonder if maybe after All Stars 4, they just have a preemptive lip sync Lollapalooza plan that they could do if they really wanted to.
That's true. And it could be like, they could have the vault of like, well, we have these 20 songs on lock.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the time comes that we use them, we can use them. And
Yeah.
then like, hey, we this year just got these new songs,
True.
the rights for. These songs just became public domain. These songs are cheap. Like, there's a rotating like cycle of songs, but there's also like a set. I feel like what they're listening to on the iPod are all songs that they could use.
Yeah.
But not all of them have the intention of being used.
Mm-hmm.
But they have them, yeah, like in the chamber if need be.
Locked and loaded, ready to fire if need.
Yeah.
I wonder what other challenges just kind of sit around in the back burner. Because it's not like you can toss in some of the design challenges. You would kind of have to premeditate some of those.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of them have to be odd improv challenges and just random one-off scripts that they're holding on to. Like 4 different versions of Sex and the Kitty Girl.
Oh my God.
Like
Could you
just holding
imagine?
on to scripts.
I would love if they had more like, you know how other competition shows usually like they have a last ditch kind of challenge.
Oh, uh-huh.
I wish Drag Race did more of that, where like
Sure.
a la this Lollapalooza, they had like okay, you have 6 hours.
Mm.
Here's a table of fabric and material.
Oh.
We'll see you at the end of the day for your runway.
Yeah.
And one of you will go home. Like shit like that. Like, I want to see like a quick turnover kind of like high stakes drag moment.
I would
know?
love to see that.
Or like, here's your script. You're going to meet with Michelle in an hour. And then, you know, we'll see the finished product in 2 hours. See you then. Like,
I'm
something
into
like that.
Something quick.
Or yeah, it's like a live thing, like a live show.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, like they do the SNL challenge, but it's like, all right, here's your scripts. We'll see you in 2 hours.
I'm into that.
And we'll shoot the scene.
That would actually be super fun for like just a, okay, we got to fill out time, but then we as the audience don't know, but it's good for them. I like that. Or, oh my God, there was one in Thailand they just did that I hated there because they didn't like the setup, but it was, you have 2 characters.
Yeah.
And then they have to do a scene incorporating words. It's very like theater kid nonsense, but it has potential for something.
Yeah, stuff like we can make this work. We can do something here.
So what I think is interesting about this Snatch Game is we don't see this too often where there's just one definitive winner and everybody's kind of just the bust. This happened in Down Under, one, where what was it? Anita was the one that was the definitive winner. Everyone else was like, you're all kind of the worst. And then this just happened with Xana in 5, where they were like, you win, everybody else, you suck.
I love stuff like that. I think it's so funny.
Do you feel like this one was deserved? Because in my opinion, in Down Under, Anita was truly the only good one.
literally just thinking about RuPaul saying, congratulations, you're the hands down winner of this week's Snatch Game. Like, I think about stuff like that. I go back and forth because sometimes I think that Deja's was whatever.
Right.
But then also, Yeah.
It's very funny.
Something about that, it does stay on the mind.
It does.
I don't remember anything else except for Yaya. But I think they also probably, no, I take that back.
What? Say it.
They probably regretted giving her the win too after watching her lip sync.
Oh, isn't there this vicious rumor that after Snatch Game, she got a solo lip sync, but it was so bad they cut it?
I don't think it's a vicious rumor. I think this is actually tea, because there's the clip of George's talking about it, and she's like, "Well, Deja," and they're like, "No."
Right. They try to keep it so under wraps.
Something happened.
Something dark-sided happened.
Something went on there. Because if nothing happened, they would just say, nothing happened.
Right.
Like, y'all are crazy.
I want to see the tapes. I want to see the footage, and I want to know how bad it actually was.
Yeah, I want to know.
It couldn't have been worse than Sister Sister's solo performance. It couldn't have been worse than Dovima's solo performance.
Mocha trees.
Okay. So really quick character breakdown. Angeria as Tammy Brown, I think is a great idea, but RuPaul doesn't know who Tammy is.
I don't know if Angeria does either.
After the performance, I don't think so. Bosco as Gwyneth Paltrow, I think was such a funny idea, but the makeup was evil.
A hilarious, like, witch woman, Gwyneth Paltrow.
We've talked about
so
this
dry
phenomenon before where, like, really, like, certain girls try to do, like, hot girl or MILF or sexy or something, and they just look evil. What is that?
Crystal Envy, as freaking Nicole, looking like the gremlin to, like, end it all.
Srimala looking like on Spiker in the sexy runway.
Yeah, she's giving like she's got a coven for sure.
Daya as Ozzy, which I thought Daya was actually really funny.
She actually did pretty good. You're right. She was pretty solid, not gonna lie.
Deja was Lil Jon. Yeah. Jasmine was Betsy DeVos. She also looked insane. She looked like she had taken 4 lines, at least. Georges was Ilana Glazier. It was maniacal.
For those who can't see, I'm doing the GIF that she was trying to create where she did the like hang loose with her tongue out and then repeated it like she was doing a GIF in real life.
She was doing a live boomerang. She was waiting for that.
She was doing a live boomerang, literally. Yeah. I think about that probably more than I think about anything else from the Snatch Game. Is George's doing that like weird little GIF boomerang thing that she did.
Camden as William Shakespeare was so funny to me. I thought her jokes were good and she was solid, but I don't know if William Shakespeare's like an impersonation that I accept.
I'm over this shit.
I'm over it too.
I'm over this people from history,
right?
Cryptids. Like, put it away.
Yeah, right?
Give me a B-lister.
Devils, angels, stop doing it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Give me an actress from the 90s.
Willow as Drew Barrymore.
Okay, see.
That was sickening.
I feel like her Drew Barrymore and Bosco's Gwyneth Paltrow were on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
And they both needed to be a oddball in a more bubbly active group. Like they could have both been a less impactful like Bjork of a group, but I feel like everyone was so low energy or weird or off that they just contributed to it more than standing out from it because their character needed to be like
punched up more.
Yeah, it needed to be more of like an odd one out of the group, but that group was so chaotic and they were just so like low key. But I kind of loved it. Like I was kind of obsessed with the impersonation.
There were a lot of performances throughout that Snatch Game that I giggled at, but like I think this is one of the problems with Snatch Game is that Ru is the Regina George. If Ru doesn't smile or giggle, nobody else is going to, because you don't want to be the one that's like ha ha ha, and then Ru's like, I don't understand why it's funny, and then you look stupid laughing at something that the host doesn't get. You know what I mean? And so like I almost wonder if the other two were quiet because it was Raven and Was this Dove?
Dove Cameron?
Was this Dove? I think it was. I can't remember. It was a very cute girl in pigtails.
Was
I
it
think
Dove?
was Dove.
Oh, poor Dove. Did she
I
get...
think
Love her in
it
Schmigadoon.
was. It was Dove and Raven.
Was it circa season 1 of Schmigadoon, I wonder?
Yes, it was definitely before Schmigadoon. So, I mean, she could have been prepping for this. God, R.I.P. Schmigadoon. Season 3 could have been everything. But yeah, part of me wonders, like, if they didn't laugh because they see that Rue is, like, doing the...
And they're like,
click,
oh,
click,
is
click,
this going to be something? Like, we should not...
Right.
Same like when it's going to be a double elimination.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in the air.
Right. Or, like, I'm thinking of a very specific time where Carson was clapping at one of the performances. But then...
They started clapping and then they looked around and stopped clapping.
Because Rue wasn't. And Rue was just sitting still. And Carson was like, oop, I didn't get on the dossier. I'm not supposed to like this. I didn't hate it that much. So, like, in my opinion, because Rue is such a Regina George in the room, everyone looks to her for giggles. Because, like, I don't think that Deja was so hilarious. But if Rue's cackling, you kind of have permission to laugh too. And so, like, I kind of wonder if that's what happened this Snatch Game.
No, that makes sense. Because also, like, yeah, like you said, she's the Regina. And also maybe more veterans in the room realize, like, oh, she's doing something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this means if she's reacting this way, like, newcomers in the room, like you said, they're following the lead and she's the lead to follow. And then people who also know that maybe would be like, oh, well, we should laugh. Nope. No, she's not laughing.
Yeah.
Like, or we can tell the energy is XYZ. Let her cook.
Right. And Raven's going to be more plugged in on that. And I mean, Dove is a pretty professional worker, it seems like. Our runway category is Holy Couture. And I remember we talked about this. I think
there was
like,
a dissonance
there
here.
was dissonance here. I think this is fun as a category. Did you have any standouts to you?
Okay, well, one point of reference, contention. They said, I don't know if this is what is tea, but this is tea, the tea is
This tea is your truth.
My tea is my truth.
Nah.
Someone said, a little birdie told me, who told my cousin, who told their coworker who went to school with my aunt, and she told me.
After writing it on Reddit.
Yes, and she read it on Reddit. That the prompt was to the girls, how they read it or what they were given was like, what do you worship?
Oh. And so then they told us something different.
And so Holy Couture is one thing, but then what do you worship makes more sense looking at these looks, in my opinion. Or like, what is your religion?
Yeah. Because
show us your religion or something like that.
That makes so much more sense.
Because then stuff like Lady Camden as the Spice Girls makes more sense.
And they both, her and Willow, mention something about who we worship. They mention that in their confessionals.
Because they say like, well, I'm not, my religion is XYZ.
Right.
For me, para me, spooky me. It was, I mean, I do love Willow's.
I love Willow's look. The mushrooms.
And we've been getting more and more mushroom looks and kind of stuff like that, but I still think this is one of the best adaptions of it. I love it so much.
So good.
I love the texture of it because it feels like that very much like 90s whimsy. It gives me also not 90s, but I always forget which one's which. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Gene Wilder.
Oh, the OG. I think that's 70s, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 70s. But when they're in the room and they like everything's edible, she looks like a tree or something from that room, because I look like I could take like a piece of her and eat her. And then also George's. I love George's.
Did you like that one?
I love George's. I mean, it definitely speaks to my sensibilities.
Sure. And you're a George's apologist.
I'm a George's apologist. I love the giant like blunt idol thing. I love the like green Pope headpiece. I love
mocking religion.
The little detail of the red contacts look like she has red eyes from smoking. Just stuff like that. I appreciate that shit. So for me, it was about Willow and it was about Georges. And I do hold a little bit of space, just a tiny bit for Daya's before she fell.
She did. She ate
I hold
it.
space for Daya's as like your friend who put together this Gaga look and it's really fierce for her. And you know she's going to eat it and she's really passionate about it and you're excited for her. Because I'm like, yes, girl, you did that. That is so that. Yes.
I want to hold space for Bosco because this is some random one-off storyline. This nun thing that gets brought into the finale. And I remember feeling very confused at the finale. And then watching back over this, I'm like, okay, pieces are coming together, but I'm still confused.
I love
Pink.
Love Pink. I love the hooves.
Yeah.
Those are his hooves, you bitch. Do you remember that? I just got reminded of that meme from Tumblr of Lil Wayne in the hot tub wearing socks. And it's like, why is he wearing socks? And they're like, those are his hooves, you bitch. So
diabolical.
So anyways, yeah, those are her hooves. I mean, I'm such an apologist for her too, because like, yes, there's been so many. This is how I felt about Pearl in season 7, though. Is like,
sure,
this is like how I felt when she came out in the how did your drag character die runway, where I'm like, it's just lingerie, but I love it.
It was so funny the way she sold it.
She sells it.
You know what I forgot to mention about Georges and Jasmine is that Daya at the top of the episode. There's two. Diabetica mentioned at the top of the episode that last week's lip sync wasn't even that good. And she said that with her whole chest and believed it. Crazy behavior, right?
Like, she's an okay lip syncer, but that is like that she sometimes was right. She was the broken clock that was right twice a day because she was calling shit out that was true, but then also sometimes she was drinking the haterade a little bit.
Right, she was just talking.
And, but like also other times she was super right, so it's hard.
So Deja is called as the definitive winner, and what is the alleged song? It was like an Ariana Grande song, right? Ariana Grande.
It was Levitating by Dua Lipa. Because that's an iconic song. I Got You, Moonlight. I love this idea of everyone standing around awkwardly as Deja dresses Joan of Arc, dresses Florence as the Machine. Florence and the Machine
as Joan of Arc.
Florence and the Machine, Joan of Arc of the dance floor.
As the lip sync assassin on Drag Race.
As a lip sync assassin, allegedly. Levitating Dua Lipa. I would have loved to have seen it.
Yeah.
But alas.
Bring out the tapes. And they're all told that they are the bottom 7 and are up for elimination, bringing us to an extra special episode is what it's called, which this kind of sets up that semi-compulsory lip sync extravaganza that I know you fuck with. I fuck with.
Yeah.
Do you fuck with this one though?
Like in terms of it being a punishment or what? Like do I?
The whole thing is a concept.
Listen, I love the lip sync Lollapaloozas. I think my favorite are the ones with stakes because like the one in Canada still has been the best one, in my opinion, which is funny because that one had the lowest stakes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was just because of Nira and Aurora. Yeah. It was just because Melinda, of course.
Melinda with the bang that kept falling in her face.
The bang, the death drop, the aggressive slams.
She's so effortlessly iconic.
Yeah.
I love Melinda Verga.
So I'm kind of eating my words by saying that because I feel like what I was going to say is I feel like the best ones are the ones with stakes.
Right.
But that one had the lowest stakes and it was probably the best one.
Sure.
But I love the drama of like the first one on All Stars, the fact of like whoever wins this lip sync continues in the competition.
Yeah.
Like that was so hot. Of course, obviously everyone who won was still there.
Right.
But it still was such an intense moment. And also it creates moments where like the girlies who people think aren't going to rise to the occasion, Naomi, rise to the
Sure.
occasion and deliver.
And slays.
Yeah. And so I love moments like that. But with this one, I don't know. I feel like everyone was giving. But
Yeah.
it was also just a matter of like, sometimes also I think the problem is song choice, because I've been let down. I was let down by this one, and with not as much the season 16 one, 15 one.
15 and 16, I feel like the playlists were not great.
No, the 16 one, yeah, let down.
Yeah.
I was let down by the season 16 playlist.
The 15 one was pretty good. Tell It to My Heart, Love It the Monster.
15 was great. 16, no, yeah. I was like, oh, we could have better songs for Lollapalooza.
Totally.
Because even the All Stars 4 one, it was RuPaul songs, but there's a sense of like the song choices, like Adrenaline.
Exciting.
Adrenaline was a great song choice. Sissy at Walk was a great song choice.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I need there to be a sense of intensity or like showmanship to it. And if the songs aren't giving, then it does sap away some of the excitement of the lip sync. Because also with 4, those were all really fun songs.
Yeah.
Even the ones I didn't know, they were so musically layered, and people like Nira were hitting every beat. It was so fun to watch.
It was great. I mean, do even just like a themed one, like when they did the Gaga finale, when they did the Britney finale for 13.
Exactly.
Like, give us a Lollapalooza.
Whitney Houston.
That's yeah, right. Give us a Lollapalooza that's just one artist,
Or just like, or a girlies, like it's Gaga, Kesha, Britney, or
that'd
something,
be
you know?
hot.
Like,
oh, that'd be so.
it's like
hot.
2010s, like it's like Bad Romance, TikTok, like shit like that.
Why have
It's
they
like
not
a
done TikTok?
it's like a themed night at the club.
Yeah.
You
I would
know,
be
that
down.
night that brings all the gays out, where it's like, oh, we're doing throwback night, we're doing, you know, girls and gays night, whatever.
Period. That would be so hot.
So yeah, I think if they just had better song choices to generate more excitement,
Sure.
in my opinion, because, you know, there's also the interesting thing of like distribution of like biggest, like most expensive songs. Like this season, they threw Yes and for the first lip sync, and it was flop.
It was such a flop.
Whereas like, if I don't know if there's going to be a Lollapalooza this season. By the way, it's shaping out. I don't think there's going to be.
Unless it's at the finale again.
But Yes and saved for a Lollapalooza. Even like, I could see a 3-way lip sync to Yes and.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was totally wasted. And that's an expensive song.
Totally.
So I feel like the Lollapalooza should have like the creme de la creme, the expensive, like best songs on reserve.
Yeah.
Like this year, not this year, but like this season we're talking about. Not, it wasn't even a new song, but having something like Radio by Beyonce, that is a high energy, intense song. Okay. Well, we should actually probably talk about this one, because I feel like I'm talking about all the other lip sync Lollapaloozas.
Yeah, like, let me tell you about all the other ones that are way better.
Yeah.
I want to tinfoil hat for a moment and ask about the ball roller, because there's this very cute, beautiful pit crew man who's got to spin the roller and pull a name out. Do you remember when Naomi was talking about how
the adrenaline? I just see adrenaline go. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Naomi,
can have.
for those of you who don't know, really quick, Naomi was talking about how in All Stars 4, she went to go, you know, they were backstage or whatever, and she saw the crew packing up both suitcases with adrenaline.
Yeah.
And so she knew, that's what they want me to perform as. So in this, is it the adrenaline gate?
So, do you know what I heard once? If you sponsor RuPaul, you have to front the entire prize package as part of the sponsorship. So, like, if you're sponsoring, regardless of if it's $100,000 sponsor, well, this was back when it was $100,000.
Sure.
Now it's $250K. But back when it was $100,000, if it was $100,000, it didn't matter if it was by Anastasia Beverly Hills. If you wanted to have a sponsored spot, you had to. Your sponsorship had to be upwards of $100,000.
Okay.
So it's like, if they're getting all that money, they can print 100 balls with one name on it.
True.
They can print 100 Anitras.
True.
They can print 100. I don't remember who else got picked. I'm still talking about different lip syncs.
Other ones.
But, you know, they can print 100 of
Jasmine
the same
Kennedy,
name. Yeah.
Who's the first one pulled. And so that's what makes me wonder, were there some girls that production was like, we want to give you the opportunity, Shimada girls.
Shimada girls.
I turned into what is his name? He was in The Rock. God, I'll remember his name eventually. I wonder, like, Jasmine had tension with Diabetica. So were they like, let's make sure that she's first and we'll see if she brings this storyline
Exactly,
out.
because if it picked like Willow first or something, it would have been anticlimactic.
Right. So they started out strong and then they can sort of do their producer picks.
And save their Georges and stuff like that for
Right.
later as well.
Exactly.
Because also I think knowing that Jasmine Kennedy was potentially doomed
Right.
from the start.
Right.
I feel like having her get first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know.
You get your TV moment with her in Diabetica.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you let her choose, but also like that's such a risk because was she, I got the hiccups just now. Was she doomed from the start? Because like you'd think her having first choice, she would choose anyone, but they probably knew she would choose Diabetica.
Right.
But did they know that Diabetica was going to let her have it to RESPECT?
I don't think they knew. I don't think they had any idea.
You know what? Can I say,
Yeah.
this is one of the ones where I actually really love their performance together.
Me too.
Because Daya's slower performance is complemented by Jasmine like doing the splits and shit to respect.
Right.
It almost works together in a weird way.
Harmonious.
It almost feels like they're performing together because Daya's like clapping and like doing the jump across the stage while like Jasmine's doing like a slinky like high kick into like a split behind her. Like it feels like two different, like a high and a low, like a harmonization of a lip sync.
It was kind of incredible.
Yeah.
And their tension is brought out because of the song title and the mood behind it.
Yeah.
They're able to resolve a lot of that anger that they were feeling kind of on the stage.
And also I feel like this, like, we're kind of experiencing the since she won, I feel like Daya's kind of like earning her respect. RESPECT. But like she's kind of been getting shat on.
Totally.
And like
by everyone.
By the edit and by the girls.
Yeah.
And I feel like knowing her trajectory, knowing she ends as a finalist and actually one of the stronger contenders, like I think that this is starting to set up her as more of like someone who is like actually like slaying and is really cool and is like bringing it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is kind of within her like upward trajectory because this isn't a bottom lip. I mean, they're all in the bottom. They're all bottoms. But this was like a good moment for her.
It was a really great moment for her. And I think it helps kind of distinguish her from Crystal Method, who they kept referring to her as, because I think when you're performing, you really can show who you are. And she performs so differently. And so I think it helps remove some of that dissonance that the audience is being spoon-fed that she's giving Crystal.
And also like putting the period in her storyline with Jasmine.
Yeah.
Knowing Jasmine leaves this episode, and it puts her in a good position with that happening, which then also propels her upward trajectory.
In such a poetic kind of way that only Drag Race does. I want to say, I think I would have picked Bosco if I were Jasmine. That would have been a more secure way to get through. I feel like sometimes in lip sync SmackDowns, some of the girls think, I want to prove to this girl that I'm better than them. Like we saw Farrah do that with Valentina. I don't really think Farrah could have beat anybody in that lineup, but like it was kind of crazy for Farrah to be like, I'm going to choose her because I want to prove to her that I could beat her. But beat someone that you can beat.
Right.
Pick the sugar. Who was left? Spice? It was Spice. Pick Spice. You know you could beat her.
Pick Paprika.
I also love the way that Michelle went, ooh, to the En Vogue song. When Ru announced what it was, I don't think Michelle knew what the playlist was because she flipped out. She lost her mind.
Yes.
Our next ball pick is Willow. And I feel like this was to be like, okay, there's a lot of strong lip syncers and we like her. We don't want her to get sniped. So let's let her choose who she wants to go against. I would have picked Angeria if I were her. But she picks Bosco. And Bosco chooses Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. And Willow is kind of happy about this because she picked Bosco because she was hoping Bosco would pick that song.
Mastermind.
Mind of a mastermind.
And I totally see that because I think she's the only one in that group who would pick that.
Totally. And that's what she wanted to lip sync to. That's also really smart strategy.
because and knowing the other songs, like she could have slayed that En Vogue song,
Sure.
but she did not want Radio by Beyonce.
No, she would have gotten eaten up in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely eaten up.
I love this song. I have such a soft spot for this song. This
She
is so
turned me on.
the two not black people lip syncing to Never Too Much by Luther Vandross is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Again, two very different interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
Bosco is like the fun stripper at the bar, like dancing to the playlist.
And Willow's sort of like the sexy girl that's just feeling her goats after 3 mimosas.
Yeah, that it's giving like you've been going on a couple dates with her and like she's starting to let loose with you.
Let loose.
And this is like the moment you fall in love with her.
Totally. I was so entranced by Willow. She was feeling her. Everything.
I loved her styling this episode too. Just going with like, because also everyone went with, she also dressed like she knew she was getting this song, which I think is hilarious. Because
she manifested it.
She literally manifested. I mean, Georges is dressed for Radio by Beyonce as
1000%.
But Camden was not dressed for that En Vogue song.
No.
But anyways, it was funny because everyone's like dance wear.
Yeah.
Willow is dressed like she's about to sing this Luther Vandross song.
She knew that's what she was going to get.
She was ready and prepared. And I love that for her.
She was ready to do so. We have 3 remaining, Georges, Angeria, and Camden. They've got to lip sync together. I hate 3-way Lollapalooza lip syncs. I don't like them. They bother me. I don't mind a bottom 3. If you were all so bad you got a bottom 3 lip sync, fine. And that does happen later on this season, which is crazy. I don't mind that, but I wish that it hadn't been. What did you think about a 3-person lip sync?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of other ones, and like there's some iconic ones, but for the most part, it can be messy. And it also just feels like they're being shafted because like I think you just have so much more of a moment when it's just the one-on-one lip sync because you have more to focus on with the 3, and like even when it is a 3-way lip sync, it's usually not between 3 people. It's usually like 2 and then an extra one.
Do you remember, I talk about Thailand so often. Do you remember when it was Vanda, Genie, and was it Tormai? And Genie was like throwing candy at them because she didn't know the lip sync.
No, the Thailand 3-way lip syncs are built different because I was literally thinking about, you haven't seen it, but in season 1, they do a 3-way lip sync to Toxic. And I talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Because it is the epitome of 3-way lip syncs. It is crazy. One of them's making the guest judge uncomfortable.
Is that where Pangina's yelling?
Pangina is standing up, yelling in her manliest voice, "Fight for your life!" to these 3 people. Fight! Like it's a coliseum. Like I am obsessed.
Coliseum is crazy. The ball lands on Georges, and Georges gets to choose the song, which is why I feel like the balls are rigged. She picks Radio by Beyonce, and the girls in the back are gagged. Jasmine is living. She's like, oh, I can't wait for Georges
because they all thought she was going to pick that mid-tempo J-Lo song. Right. And it's like, okay, I get that's J-Lo, but Love Don't Cost a Thing. I don't think that's her era of J-Lo.
No.
Because that's R&B J-Lo, and I think she's more about that pop J-Lo. Totally. If I had to make a guess, I don't know her like that. But I don't think she's about that R&B ballad J-Lo. I think she's about that up in the club pop J-Lo.
Pop your puss.
Pop your puss.
Totally.
I will say, Love Don't Cost a Thing. I love it's a great song. Love it. But Radio, that is a Georges song. And you can tell because she was ready. She was like, I be on the hotline like every day. She was immediately moving. And she was ready.
She was dressed for it too.
Yes. Yeah, the way she had the fringe on, like, she almost had like gauntlets that had like fringe on them, and I was obsessed with it.
I must say, I was personally obsessed with Angeria's airplane arms. I have never seen someone extend their entire wingspan and just
it's just like arms out, and then she'll slowly move down, like she'll slowly squat while making eye contact.
She was landing on the runway. She was an airplane.
Strange move.
I was kind of obsessed, but I mean, in my opinion, I thought Camden kind of ate up Georges. That might be controversial to say, but I thought she ate up Georges. I loved how she incorporated ballet into her dance moves.
Yeah.
And brought ballet to Beyonce. I would have never thought.
Bed Ballet and Beyonce.
Yes.
I think Camden
British.
did really good.
British ballet and Beyonce.
I think Camden let Angeria have it.
Totally.
But I think Georges let them all have it. I don't know. I just love me some Georges.
I know
and this
you
is
do.
actually my favorite Georges lip sync of all of
Is
them.
it?
It is because it's just, you can tell because she's lip synced so many times.
Mm-hmm.
You actually can tell what song she genuinely, like, I think is more plugged into than others.
Yeah.
And I think this and My Head, My Heart by Ava Max are two of the most plugged in she was. I think there was one on All Stars as well, but those were the two that I think she was really getting her jush for them.
Totally. I mean, she did eat. Rue favorite Georges and Jess favorite Georges is safe. And then the next ball lands on Camden.
Yes.
And she chooses Bosco, which honestly was smart. And this is that Don't Let Go by En Vogue moment that I think about all the time, where it's like, what's it gonna be? And it zooms out.
Amazing shot.
And you see Camden in the forefront and Bosco in the back. And Camden is just like full profile, light hitting her face, just mugging, doing her thing. And Bosco's in the back, very pretty and demure. But it's
Very demure.
just Camden
It's
silhouette.
also, Camden ate it because she looked a damn fool.
that pink ass
That
mohawk.
pink flamingo mohawk. Crazy.
It was crazy. And then
doing
the
that song
leather
because like
two-piece.
Bosco is dressed for the song.
Totally.
Like I feel like that black lingerie moment is so like that En
Yeah.
Vogue ballad. But yeah, she really lets her have it. And I also think her picking Bosco is funny because my mentality, if I was a drag queen, pick the queen who is the most different from you because then it's a matter of what they prefer.
Yeah.
Don't pick the girl who's like you because then it's who's better. Unless you pick the girl who's like you that you're better than.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like Camden was like, well, I know I can dance better than her. And I feel like we are very equally yoked otherwise. So, yeah, I kind of loved it.
It was a smart choice.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And then we have a very torn up Jasmine because she has to go against Angeria. And that was pretty emotional to watch because she was upsetty about it. It's Love Don't Cost a Thing by J-Lo.
I already said I love the song.
Yeah.
Me being like, by the way, I love the song. I need to stress, I love this song. Do you know what else I need to stress?
What's that?
Jasmine let Angeria have it.
You think?
Yes.
I felt like she was oddly restrained. Like, I felt like it was her giving like 80%, but it was still more than what
Jasmine?
Angeria did. Yeah.
Jasmine was absolutely holding back for Angeria's sake, and it still wasn't enough in my opinion. Because I was fully Daya in the back standing Jasmine when she did that back move, shit like that. Like, Jasmine ate it up.
Yeah.
And I think the restraint actually benefited her because she was doing too much prior.
Totally.
And being slightly more holding it back helped fill some of the dead air of the song as well. It balanced it out a bit more, in my opinion. I think she still let her have it.
She really did. And I mean, we talk about how Camden looked a fool. Angeria looked crazy because I think she had contacts in, didn't she?
And
she had those contacts that made
these
her
were
eyes look
not
coked.
Angeria's songs.
No. And then she did her makeup odd too. Like she looked a little wild. And I mean, I just feel like Jasmine was not on the vision board at all.
No, they were not featuring
They
her.
were not featuring her at all. So even though she really dog walked that lip sync, Angeria is the winner. And then we've got Bosco standing her little panty corset combo, having to go against Jasmine to Swept Away by Diana Ross. What do you think about this one? I feel like this is not the right song.
I
to
was
end
lying
this
there,
on.
lying on the beach. I dreamed you were there. You touched my hand. We were on a desert island. This song is crazy. But also, like, Bosco sold it in such a ridiculous way.
Totally.
It's one of those ones where it's like, it could flop so miserably. Like, another dude, like, Jasmine kind of, like, whiffed this song hard, in my opinion, trying to do this, like, theatrical funny approach.
Mm-hmm.
The song was so crazy, and Bosco sold it in such like a wistful, lustful, sensuous way.
Yeah.
Her lip syncing that Diana Ross spoken word.
I was hot.
With like the wonder in her eyes, but also the coy, like, ooh. She sold it in a way I could not believe, because it was a really camp song.
So camp.
But she like really sold it.
She ate it up.
And like, not in a way where like she didn't really like dance to it. She just kind of like pose. It was very Naomi to me, and just like moving rhythmically and then posing.
Oh,
And I was here for that.
me too.
Just being sexy, sensual, and posing.
We were talking. I can't remember if I mentioned this before before we started recording. The interesting thing about Bosco is that she has such an odd trajectory, but she was good at literally everything. She still is. She's such a superstar. You get that girl on an All-Stars, she's going to sweep the whole thing.
And that's the thing, is like, I don't think people put respect on Bosco's name,
Mm-hmm.
because I think aesthetically they count her out as a one-trick pony.
Right.
But I feel like people forget that she actually was good at every type of challenge.
Yeah.
She's like one of those sleeper people. Like, she's like Max.
Oh, yeah.
Where like Max did well at pretty much everything. And it's like, because of how they are aesthetically, people put them in a box and think they're this type of queen.
Right.
But it's like, you forget that like, outside of the type of drag that they are drawn to do and the type of aesthetic they are drawn to do, which might have a certain stereotype associated to it, this is a very well-rounded, talented, like charismatic individual.
Incredibly charismatic.
Which like, maybe you like put a certain predisposition on, like, you see a girl in lingerie or you see like a fashion girl, you think she's going to be XYZ.
Right.
But it's like, if you drop that notion and you pay attention to like what Bosco says when she opens her mouth, she's funny as fuck. She's
hilarious.
Really sharp, and like, obviously like different points of references, different inspirations. Like, I don't know. She is that girl. I agree. Like, I think is slept on, and people forget that like she was really good this season.
Yeah.
And she wasn't just like a struggling, like, panty wearing, like, flop.
Dummy.
Yeah, like, she's really smart, and really funny, and really, like, she rose to the occasion in a lot of different challenges.
In acting, in construction, in improv, she really does it. And in lip syncing.
Yeah.
Bosco does win this one. And I think that it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I really do, because they were both so good. But last week we talked about the chocolate bar, and we mentioned that we would love to believe the sanctity of the competition, that Bosco was always the one that was going to get it, because that's who won it. If Bosco was truly the girl that had the chocolate bar and production knew, and they said, all right, the board says Bosco's got it, so she will always be safe if she's in the bottom. Do you think it was like, if we say, Jasmine, you're safe, Bosco, you're out, and she gets her chocolate bar and it's golden, we're going to have a second non-elim in a row? And we can't do that, because the whole point was punishment.
That's so fair. So I'll save my controversial opinion for the end of the episode, because I never have one when you ask.
Yeah, but that's what I'm curious about. Like, could they not eliminate her because they're like, this girl has it? We have to get rid of Jasmine. We cannot do. This would be 3 non-elims in a row.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But now I need to remember, because when you asked me at the end of the episode if I have a controversial opinion, I never do, but I will.
You have one this time.
Yeah, you just have to remind me if I'm like, no, I don't really.
No, I'll be like, the chocolate. Yeah. It's chocolate. So Jasmine's out. I'm very sad about this, because I kind of live for Jasmine Kennedy. We move into one of my favorite Rusicals of all time, which is Moulin Rouge.
One of the best of all time.
A really good one.
I think to this day it probably is the best.
It's one of the best, right next to Wig Loose.
I think this still has the edge on Wig Loose. And I think it's got a lightning in the bottle of the idea of a jukebox musical, but repurposing it to be a jukebox musical of RuPaul songs is fucking brilliant.
It is.
Because it's what they've always wanted to do, which is pander with RuPaul's music and take something RuPaulify it and like plug RuPaul's shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to do all of that in an organic way because they're taking a musical, which the whole purpose of it was taking popular songs and integrating them into a storyline, but them doing that with RuPaul songs. God.
I would love to see them do this with Mamma Mia. Like, do the Mamma Mia storyline, but with RuPaul songs.
Oh, my God.
There, you could fully ABBAfy all of Ru's music.
Okay, get this. They do Mamma Mia the Rusical, but it's just RuPaul songs as Cher.
Oh, my God.
And it's like RuPaul. Cher the Rusical, but they're doing RuPaul impersonations.
Stop.
Or RuPaul songs in Cher impersonations.
Stop. I would die. I would absolutely die.
I think that'd be funny because also if you do that in the studio as opposed to live, I think it could go over a lot better.
Oh, totally. I recently actually watched Moulin Rouge. I've never seen it before until recently.
Oh, really?
Last week, I think we watched it while you were in Vegas.
Well, you know, your husband, I'm sure he had many things to say about it. I've seen it since a young age because
it's crazy.
Because he watched it religiously when it first came out. He watched it all the time on DVD. So I didn't even know what it was, and I just was watching it. I remember seeing like Kylie Minogue's The Green Fairy, all that shit, and I had no idea what I was perceiving. I thought it was a drug trip of a movie.
It is.
And honestly, as I got older, I still think it is. It really is like one of those movies that's like, whoa, this is so... Some of those 2000 movies are really like built different.
Yes.
This is a drug trip of a movie for sure.
It's crazy. I want to ask you before we talk about some of the drama that happens. Do you have any problems with the pre-recorded Rusicals? Or do you want it to sound like them when they talk?
I want it. Oh, like the person?
Yeah. Like the other people.
I go back and forth. I think. Here's what I think.
Tell me what you think.
It depends on like what you want to judge them on. Because if you want to judge them on their performance abilities, then have them deliver the lines themselves.
Sure.
But if you want to judge them as drag queens who lip sync, then give them a track and let them lip sync and add personality to an existing track, which is what drag queens already do and is an inherent skill of queens, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more funny, which is like why I like about like Glamazonian Airways, is an existing track that already has weird quirks and nuances and to see a queen pick up on those and accentuate them. I think that's more funny than like trying to either come up with it on their own via their take or just trying to faithfully lip sync to their own words. Because I think it's rare that they're going to add more flavor and pizzazz than a paid vocalist.
Voice actor. Yeah. Like in All Stars 3, I would love to believe that Trixie Mattel could do a really wonderful Dolly impression. But or that like Aja could do a really great Amy Winehouse. But I would rather hear someone that sounds like them.
Exactly.
And in this one, I would rather someone who's got that accent that they could do for the Camden character. I'd much rather that person do that than try and have a drag queen struggle through that.
And exactly. Camden had the benefit of they didn't have to try and create that voice, but they lip synced to it exquisitely in a way that a lot of them couldn't.
Totally.
You still like it didn't take away from her performance because like she's doing what a drag queen, like what the best drag queens do, which is add a whole extra layer of depth and story to an existing track just through the way they perform it.
Right.
Which is what Camden did. She created the entire character by how she lip synced to that vocal track. And so I feel like she didn't need to perform it herself.
Their whole job as queens are to convince us that they are Adele on that stage.
Okay, and that's the thing is it shouldn't matter that they put the track down themselves because if they're doing their job, you should even forget that it's not them.
Exactly.
And like with Camden, you would think it's coming straight out of her. You forget that it's not her.
And Willow.
Yeah.
Both of them, I think, were top of the game. Okay, so there is drama. There's some bickering because the girls have to assign themselves the roles. And Bosco and Camden get into it about this
actually was kind of crazy. This one best fight at the MTV something.
Yeah, what was so interesting about this fight to me is the girls have been very kumbaya this season. And Jules talks about it in 17, how the 17 girls are kumbaya. But the 14 girls were so non-confrontational. I mean, Diabetica was definitely being confrontational, but in like a, I said it, I'm not apologizing, I'm done, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pursue any more of this. The end. So girls were getting heated, and she was like putting a little thimble on top of the candle, like, stop it. I don't
For
care.
real.
So like she was really the only one that was agitating the room, but was also stopping it quickly. This
Yeah.
moment was like genuine, real anger and frustration that was coming up. And I think this was still that era where the girls were getting so much online hate that when they went on the show, they were like, I am not going to be that girl.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm going to bottle in as much as I can. But you can tell that they both wanted to get even more mad and were resisting so hard. It's like you could see the fist clenched and the knuckles turning white. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're pissed off. Just say it. And like, nope, I'm not going to. I'm just going
I
to make
know.
myself bleed.
For real, yeah. And it was like, because I don't think it was kind of the space where they didn't really cut up in like a cute way like that. So it didn't feel natural to let it out like that. But I think it really speaks to how nice the room was that they all like really were offended.
Yes.
But honestly, I go both ways about it because yes, I love drama and I love fun shade, but I also really thought it was genuinely really sweet how Georgia said later in the episode that she didn't like that Bosco put her down.
Right.
And that Deja reinforced that. I'm like, you know what? That warmed my heart. That they did look out for each other in the way of like, I get it's drama, but like I don't like that we're putting each other down or we're insinuating anything about each other. And obviously love Bosco.
Right.
I don't even think Bosco was being like a bad person or anything. She acted a lot nicer than I would have been after being in the situations they've been through. Because this is probably a month deep.
Oh yeah, easy.
She was just in the bottom. She just lip synced 3 times. XYZ.
Things are getting crazy.
They're
out
definitely handling themselves a lot better than I would ever be able to. But I think it really speaks to how nice this cast is.
Yeah.
That even afterwards, their main concern was that everyone's feelings were protected and that no one was being spoken down to or like being treated as less than.
And holding accountability for people.
And that was the other thing with Bosco too, is I think that she never like maintained that attitude. I think that she course corrected, she recognized it got nipped in the bud. Lady Camden was a really wonderful sport about it and was, I mean, I'm sure she's dealt with some absolute cunts
Totally.
in the ballet world.
Absolutely.
Being a professional dancer, she probably has dealt with absolutely wicked people.
Well, in that universe, you've got a cool like 4 or 5 years before your person who was basically watching over you was like, all right, you're out.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. Get out of here.
Right.
So like you have to build up a thick skin early in ballet.
Yeah. And I think that Camden was very gracious in that she let Bosco get out what she was getting out, but also like held her own and was like, no, I still want this, but like also wasn't cunty to her post their interaction. Like I also really respect how Camden handled how Camden handled it.
Yeah. So we move into the main challenge. I love this look on Camden. I think about that. I dream about this.
In the challenge.
Yeah, in this like circus look
as
with
the
that
MC,
mustache and that
iconic. It's like one of my favorite Camden looks, even though it's not like hers. I mean, I'm sure she brought it, but it's so true because that is so like, that is like a pinnacle Camden look for me.
I want to say, jealous of my boogie. I know that there were parts that were probably in French is what the language was they were
I believe
mixing
so.
in.
Yeah, like Lady Marmalade.
The parts where it would be like, don't be whatever it was. It sounded like Simlish.
Oh my God.
Because the rhythm of Jealous of My Boogie and the way that French is meant to be kind of tonal, but it's got a bounce off of da da da.
If they had like
da.
a Sims the Rusicals, I would die.
Bella Goth discovers fire and
God.
burns down the main stage.
Please get out.
I want to say also, I hated A Little Bit of Love, Superstar Into the Moon being the romance song. Mama, I saw no romance on that stage.
How did you feel about what's his name, Rylan or whatever?
Leland.
Leland.
I actually thought he was really cute.
He did really good. It was just so funny that there was like a man there. I was like, what is happening?
And then Leslie
I'm
Jordan
so
is
used to
there.
it just being like a pit crew member with
Yeah.
like a bow tie on or something. Like a jacket, like
Right.
and no shoes, like just
And
like
no socks.
a clothing, like an additional garment
Right.
to show that he's a character and not just like an accessory. But
Leslie
yeah.
Jordan was hilarious.
Leslie Jordan, baby wipes.
Oh my god. I love that they included a bunch of stuff from Drag Race too. Like they did the Bing Bang Bong.
Yes.
And then someone said, I'm in love with Jason Momoa.
it was like self-referential without
Yeah.
being too like snake eating its own head.
And like you mentioned, it's a jukebox musical. So they have permission to pull from a lot of things.
Totally.
It was cute. I like this whole musical. I love the setup because it's actually grounded in something that's been already made and studied and well performed. It's easy to apply Drag Race into it. It was very successful as a musical.
Yeah.
Our runway category for this one is Mirror Mirror.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had a ton of standouts. I felt like a lot of these were kind of throwaways.
No, I didn't like most of these except for I actually really like Daya's.
Yeah, I
And
love that kiss
then
look.
I do like Willow's, even though it's not super mirror. It's more LeMay.
It's fun looking.
Yeah.
The one standout comment that I had was Bosco saying "no foam here" during her talking head. For those of you who don't
Please.
know, Carmen Carrera in season 3 did that. It was during the workout challenge, right?
No, the freaking troops challenge.
Oh, that's right. No foam here.
Which is even crazier. And she's talking about her body and not padding for the freaking message to the troops.
It's so good. But
As
yeah,
she like slaps her thighs.
slaps
It's like
them. No foam here. But yeah, I thought that was brilliant just because I'm such a stan of those old
deep
seasons.
rooted Drag Race lore references.
But yeah, I thought a lot of these were kind of throwaway looks, to be quite honest. And I also remember Bosco being so bad in the main challenge, and even the critiques were that she didn't stand out, but I thought Bosco was fine. She had the energy of is it Nicole Kidman that's in Moulin Rouge?
I believe so.
She had that sort of like manic Nicole Kidman energy.
It's also the tea is everyone in this Rusical did good.
They
They
all
just
did
had
good.
to have a bottom two.
They had to, and I mean the runway factors in.
The
but-
runway factored in, but if they had not had so many elimination episodes, this easily could have been a top two, and it
Yeah.
would have been a Camden and Willow lip sync.
Totally.
But we had 5 double saves already, so this had to be an
There's been
elimination.
so many
Except it
so
wasn't.
far. Except it's not. Rude does ask the question, who should go home and why? And just about everybody says Bosco.
And George's had the best explained reasoning of all of them, and I was here for it.
the pre-evolution to Lux.
Literally.
It's literally that. If we want to talk about track record, someone was in the bottom 3 times in the same episode.
3 times in the same episode, and she was the one that brought up the point that she took down Bosco
Yeah.
and made her feel lesser than, and she had Deja going, like, putting the fingers
Doing
together.
the tippy tap.
And I was like, Georges of all people, she even made Michelle go, ooh.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody was expecting Georges because even during her monologue, she stopped to be like.
Yeah.
And like at the beginning of the day, and so she was clearly uncomfortable and nervous about even having to share this because likes and ums tend to be filler words, especially in a public setting that you're just trying to fill out the space while you work through whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It was very clear that she was not ready to do that. She wanted to be congenial and kind, hold Bosco accountable for what she did, but then also make sure she got red at the end.
Yeah.
And I was here for it.
I loved it. I was here for it as well.
I thought it was really good.
I loved it.
Camden is the winner, super deserved.
Absolutely.
One of the Rusical winners that just hands down stomped it the whole time, you
At
know.
first, I thought you were just saying like one of the all-time musical winners. I was like, damn. But no, she actually like, and also I love like, I feel like nowadays it's always like the musical girl wins the musical, where it's like she was a ballet performer, but it's like Camden was one of those people where it's like low energy, like as a human,
Totally.
high energy in every challenge. And I
Yeah.
think that's so cool to see.
I love the performers that you can see that they're saving their energy for when they get on stage.
Yeah.
I personally don't have any problem with that, but I know Drag Race tends to like the people that have the same energy in the challenge and in the confessionals.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see that with Willow this season, is that her sort of low energy translates to also the challenges as well.
Yeah.
And it's not even low energy, it's just different kinds
And
of energy.
you know, they've been compared because of their archetypes, but beyond just how the top two shook out and their archetypes, Camden is like Brooklyn in a lot of ways because they're both that like low key chill person, but they're such a talented performer that is like, tell them what to do and they will do it to 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just love that about Camden. She brought it to every performance and always gave 100% energy, but she herself is not 100% energy.
Totally.
She's like 40%, but like a very like chill, lovable 40%. But like, tell her where to go and when to do it, and she's going to bring it.
Immediately.
And I just really, really enjoy that about her.
These moments where she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this character. And then she's Maxine.
Literally.
It's the same energy as Brooke telling Nina, yeah, I really want that character. And then cut to the challenge where she's spreading her legs, showing her asshole to Fortune Feimster.
Purr.
It's the same energy. Our bottom two is Bosco and Georges, which I do feel like was very much a TV moment.
Yeah.
Because, like, Deja was objectively worse
Drag her.
than Georges on the runway. She was. The judges hated
Oh, the
it.
runway was not it. Yeah. I thought Georges did fine in the challenge, but I thought also Deja did fine. It's hard.
But Bosco and Georges had this tension that just developed on the runway.
Tea.
So it was sort of a audience bait that they have to finish it off just in case.
You can piggyback directly off of that.
Exactly. So it was pulling off that. It's Heartbreak Hotel by Whitney Houston. I thought they were both really good.
I thought it was good. It was cool to see Georges do a song that fell out of her wheelhouse at first, and then she ended up slaying it. Bosco did good too, but I do think Georges
devoured a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
she was also doing different things for her, like that, like arm move she did. It was kind of silly, but she was definitely giving like something different. And I appreciate that for her.
What I found odd about the lip sync is it cutting to Bosco saying, at this point, I think RuPaul is an organ donor for Georges. It's funny, but it also kind of undercuts Georges's presence in the competition. Like,
yeah,
it almost makes it seem like Georges is only here because Ru likes her.
But it's funny because like, and I love that they kept it because it definitely was a sentiment that was growing in the fan base that she was being favored by RuPaul. So I think it was kind of funny to say, to see someone within the machine acknowledging it in that same way. It's like, okay, glad it wasn't just us.
And that they retained it too. Normally, I feel like they don't keep things that undercut Ru in that kind of way. But I was glad. It was like, okay, you better show us that. You better show that you're not happy about this. And I feel like the editors have done that before in other seasons where they'll show things that undercut Ru and the judges because they're like, we don't like that this happened. So we're going to leave this in. And we'll see if they care about it later. Georges wins the lip sync, but Bosco's got the chocolate. So we are in yet another. Oh no, another one. Not a limb.
One. Thank God. We feel like, okay, it's done. At least he's got the RuPaul. She's got no more games for us.
No more games.
There's nothing left in store.
The lady said the games are done.
The chocolate's been found. The double save's been given out. Like, there's no possible way.
I think Bosco references Tamisha in the next episode where she says, when the lady says you got to go home. I'm almost positive she does. Okay, rank them really quick of the gimmicks. Chocolate bar, immunity potion, Dunk-a-ho, Dunk-a-Michelle.
Honestly, the potion was my favorite.
I did love the potion.
Because the potion was like, they have it. It's just when are they going to use it? Are they going to get in their head like plain and kind of like beef it? Like,
No, Saphira.
or no, Saphira. Yeah,
Plain
no,
gave
Plain
it
use it.
to
Plain use
Nymphia.
it funny. Saphira use it at a dumb time. Plain
Mhm.
use it fiercely.
Yeah.
Ah,
I feel like the Dunkaho is more interesting to me because there's actual tension.
then the chocolate.
Yeah.
Really? No, I like the chocolate more than the Dunkaho. I would rate it potion first.
Okay.
Chocolate second because of the
Okay, the editing
and
was
then the
great on that.
Dunkaho because I honestly I was kind of bored of the hoe.
That's so fair. I'm
Of
glad
the
it was
candy
done early.
Dunkaho. Of the Candy Mercadise Dunkaho.
Candy America D's Dunkaho.
That's my drag name.
Do you remember Dunkaroos? I love Dunkaroos.
Yes.
They were so good. All right. The Ross Matthews roast is next. My favorite drag race judge. The girls are kind of annoyed about Bosco getting the chocolate, which I understand. I totally get it. And Deja gets a really heavy story here because she's calling Georges the lip sync assassin, but then Deja's like, but Rue actually said I was. And like the storyline is getting weird. Norvima is back in the workroom, and I always want to say her name like Dovima.
Novima Dermy.
Novima Derby. Norvima. It's a mural painting challenge, which I thought was cute for the mini. And then the main is a roast of Ross.
Love.
This was kind of interesting. So I feel like there wasn't a ton to talk about as far as rehearsals. I do want to say one of the best Ross roasts ever. Talking about it again. Got Mick. We talked about this at the beginning. Ross Matthews is the only person I know that watches porn and finishes when the pizza gets delivered. I don't know if anybody reached that level this time, but there were some funny ones. There were some very funny jokes. Georgia's laughing at her own jokes was super uncomfy, though.
Oh my god.
I hated that.
It was giving like pretty girl giving a presentation.
Willow was funny talking about how when Georges dies, they're just going to find the world's tiniest sequin bra.
Fucking hilarious.
I felt like Deja maybe recycled too many jokes from her rehearsal that they just did not like, and she didn't learn the notes at all. But another thing that made me uncomfy is she made a dirty vagina joke about Michelle, and I'm like, girly. It was the same bad energy of Utica doing the whale jokes. And there's this phenomenon that happens with the girls that are trying to be super congenial is when they have to be funny and roasty, they go to lowest common denominator jokes that aren't funny, but they think it'll be a quick laugh.
Yeah.
And it sort of reveals like, oh, you might not be the girl you've been playing on TV. And that's fine if you're not.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see those little cracks of them going to
The
baseline.
crack in the veneer.
Exactly. Baseline unfunny humor.
Yeah.
My favorite of the whole night, I didn't save any of Ross's jokes because I didn't think any of them were really funny. Camden says that Michelle translates to beautiful and Visage translates to just kidding.
Shade. Rotted shade.
I wish that someone would have said, but I bet it would have been cut, that Ross Matthews laughs like Jade Jolie. I feel like they would have cut it. But
Not J. Jolie.
She does. The runway is too much. Unless you want to talk anything about the roast. I just wanted to do some highlights.
No, just highlights, yeah. It wasn't I feel like the roasts recently haven't been like transcendent.
No.
They're not like they used to be.
Except Jessica Wilde in All Stars 8. She was it.
Jessica Wilde.
And he has the talent to convince us that he has talent. And don't worry, Carson. I know I haven't seen any of your things, but after I get out of here, I'm still not watching them. She was so good. I think she was robbed. Runway categories too much. This was built for Camden.
Can I say my T and my T is my truth? I only see 2 tutus, maybe 3.
Okay.
I don't think that I don't think Angeria is wearing a tutu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Deja Sky is wearing a tutu. I don't think that Georges is wearing a tutu, and I don't think that Willow is wearing a tutu.
I agree.
I think that Camden is wearing a clear tutu.
Clearly.
I think that Deja is wearing Daya is wearing a more stylized tutu.
Totally.
And I think that Bosco is wearing a very fun
I
stylized tutu.
loved Bosco's
Bosco's is
look.
kind of for me, it's Bosco and Camden.
Yeah.
Everyone else, and then like I said, Daya has a stylized tutu. I just don't love this aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
But I even love the idea of the stylized ballet shoes. Like she did that.
Yeah.
Everyone else, for me, no, it's not.
It was Tool.
It's you had something close enough. Everyone else was like close enough, but these three were giving. This is a tutu that I either had or got for this sake.
Totally. Willow's, though, is incredible, not for the category.
This is like the actual finale look ahead of her
Totally.
mouse look the week following.
Yeah.
This feels like her actual finale runway.
It's such a showstopper in a way that Willow hasn't had any looks like this before. I feel like some of her other looks could have been maybe swapped around so that this could have been the finale, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Bosco wins the challenge. I honestly think it could have maybe been Willow just because that runway was so stunning, but you are right. It isn't a tutu. I just like the look.
It was a really fun tutu and a great redemption for her chocolate bar moment.
Exactly. It sort of solidifies why she should be there.
Yeah.
And this to me didn't really feel like a production thing. There have been other times where people have won a challenge after being in the bottom. And it was like, you're here because they want you to go to the end. This really was more, she genuinely did kill it. She was so funny in the challenge, so funny, so great on the runway, had humor, had a sense of whimsy. But then we get a bottom three. Again.
Trying to right the wrongs of the entire season. Trying to make up for lost time. And they're like, shoot, next week's the finale. And there's still, what, 7 of them?
Too many of them. We got to pick them off. What did you think about this? Because it's the heavy-handed assassin storyline, and both of them go home.
I mean, it was kind of hilarious. Like an underdog of the entire season sending home the 2 strongest lip syncers of the cast.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hilarious storyline. And you'd think that Daya was cooked, but she really rose to the challenge. She was giving Disney knees.
Mm-hmm.
She was giving punk. She was giving good for you.
The song pacing was almost Canada's Drag Race to me.
This was very Canada's Drag Race coded, actually, now that you say that.
The whole time, that's all I kept thinking
this
was
moment
like,
was very Drag Race Canada
Yeah.
coded.
I could see like Melinda and Nira lip syncing to this song. You know what I mean?
Please.
Like that kind of slow pacing and then into the really intense and then back to slow. I mean, Diabetica really killed it here. She
Yeah.
gave the girls what needed to be given. But the song was so odd for Drag Race, and I feel like the whole playlist for 14 has been odd. I think story-wise, looking at who went home, Georges was out of story. There's no more lifelines that Ru could pull to keep this girl in, I think. And Deja, sorry, this is going to be a problem. It's like Veronica Victoria. Deja had almost no storyline all season. Like I look back on Deja and I'm like, what did she do all season?
What did you
Besides,
do? No.
yeah. I really can't think of what Deja did all season.
It's like, is there like a vault of footage of Deja that they just didn't use or what? Like, it's so weird, right?
She kind of gets in the same treatment that I think Carrie did. Because remember, we talked about Carrie, how she was sort of underutilized as a production tool to make things happen. I don't really feel like they used Deja for anything either.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
They just like didn't focus on her.
She's underutilized.
Was very underutilized this season.
Especially like because RuPaul said she was the lip sync assassin in the first episode. They could have just taken advantage of her commentary or something more. Like, I don't know.
She doesn't really even narrate that much of the season.
No.
She's sort of just seen giggling at herself and giggling at others. And it's always so interesting because we have characters like Robin Fierce who you can tell are giving nothing to the camera. So they have no edit to give her. Deja seems like someone who was giving stuff to the camera.
Yeah.
And I think maybe she was just so eclipsed by Daya and Jasmine and Bosco just being so charismatic that she just kind of fell in the background. Yeah, very underutilized player. Because, like, I feel like I even know more about Georges, that it was very green in her drag race journey at this point. Like, I don't think Deja made a mark for getting this far in the competition to get to the penultimate episode. Is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
We have the catwalk episode where I mentioned this before we started recording, that it's so interesting that Bosco has 3 wins and is such a front runner, because I don't see her as the front runner of this season, but she was. And she doesn't really get that edit. She kind of gets the underdog one.
No, totally. But yeah, you forget because they definitely like kind of subvert a lot of contestants like edits and presentations this season. Like, because like Angeria was like the front runner mother, like at the beginning, and then she kind of falls to the back line, and then like
she's the narrator of the season,
and like Willow is like presented as a front runner, but statistically she's not. But like edit, she is. Like, I don't know. There's just so much like. There's definitely some dissonance between track record to edit, but it almost feels a bit more true to like Top Model or something, where Top Model wasn't always to the track record. It was to the vibe of like who is in the room, who is giving what. And like, though, like it very much was like that.
This season is very good vibes only. It feels like whatever the vibe feels like is how they're going to judge. What did you think about Catwalk? As far as the MV is concerned for this season.
Wait, Catwalk, like the number, the musical number?
The MV that they have to do.
MV. I actually quite like this song, not gonna lie.
It's a good vibe.
This is one of the new RuPaul songs I've warmed up to. I like the tempo of it. It's funny because I thought that Willow's was actually one of my favorites of the entire group. I really liked Willow's verse. So I was very confused by her being in the bottom.
Right, me too. And I liked her look, for the finale as well.
Yeah, okay, so what do I think? I mean, I like all of them. I thought everyone like also got the vibe of the song pretty well. I think Willow and Camden were probably my favorites.
Yeah, Camden was so good.
Yeah.
But also Daya listening and doing the crawling.
Daya had the best handling of the music video shoot.
Right.
I think I really liked how Willow and Camden interpreted the vibe of the song.
Totally.
I think Daya's was just a little too up for the down of the song.
I would agree with that.
But it's also hard because that is a hard song to give energy to.
Yeah.
But like Camden got the kind of like down but like coy like energy of it, which I enjoyed.
She was hot.
Yeah, them 3 then I would say. So realistically, I feel like I would have put Bosco and Angeria on the bottom.
Okay. But, I'm here for it.
But I get the whole like having Willow and Angeria in the bottom.
Because they're friends and it's a storyline.
If Cornbread was still there, she would have been in the bottom with Willow. Trust.
100%.
It wasn't about who did the worst that week. It was about who was there, Gaga and Beyonce.
100%. And I think that's really what it boiled down to. I think they wanted that to be bombastic, and this is like probably this and Radio are probably their most expensive songs all season.
And on that note, they could have saved this for the Lollapalooza.
I'm so upset the telephone got wasted.
This was such a waste. And I also feel like, okay, y'all bought it. Can you not
use it again?
Play it again? Like, I'm sorry, is this a one and done? Like, y'all will. I've heard Knock on Wood twice. Or 3 times now. Like, we can play this song 3 times. Come on. We've bought it.
So many songs multiple times.
That's how I feel like about songs like Bad Romance. It's been a decade.
Right.
Let's get another Bad Romance lip sync up in here. Like, let's get some more Janet Jackson. Maybe not Janet Jackson as of late, but let's get some like, you bought the rights.
Use it
play
again.
It again. Yeah. Some of those Britney Spears songs. Like
Toxic.
let's get toxic again. Honestly, till the world ends again. Like it was a finale lip sync. Let me hear it again.
Yeah, because it wasn't
Like
that good the first time.
yeah. So I don't know. It
I
wasn't giving. This needed to be like a mid-season, like this needed to be
Or
like a
opener.
shut up and drive kind
Oh
of
my
level of
God,
like
yes.
it needed to have a build up or something, but there's just no like I know that they're banking on, oh, it's Willow and Angeria and they're best friends and they love each other. Oh, but
It'll be great.
But it was like, okay, but is this like a Slay lip sync? I don't know. Like, no offense.
It did feel very produced.
Yeah.
Putting them there. It was similar to the Brangie lip sync. Even though these two weren't romantic with each other, I remember when we were doing 11, I feel like both of us mentioned that we didn't feel like Brooke was the worst. Or even
Not
that
at
Vanjie
all.
was even.
No,
I mean, Vanjie wasn't great,
no,
but
no, Silky did worse.
Silky was the objective worst
but
one.
at
of
least that
everybody.
Aretha Franklin Deeper Love lip sync was Slay.
Mm-hmm.
They turned out that Aretha Franklin song, but this one I feel like they didn't really give anything.
No, they were just kind of doing their thing. But also, like, Angeria is not a great lip syncer. She does that arm
No.
thing. She extends her whole wingspan and just sort of moves. And I live. I think she's incredibly charismatic.
But yeah, she's not a lip sync assassin, that's for sure.
Nora. I will tell you what my favorite part of the entire episode was that they got outfits designed for them.
Yes.
Loved that.
That's some shit we need to see more of.
Yeah, me as well. I think we need that all the time. Did you have any standouts for these looks?
For their finale looks?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say
Can you say?
I actually really like Daya's.
Do you?
Diabetica's. The first time I
distress?
saw it, I didn't like it. And looking back again, I actually love it because it's such like an ugly yellow.
It's
The
hideous.
burns in it are so hot to me.
There was a collection that came out the year that this would have been filming that I think this was directly pulled from. And I have a photo on my
Oh.
Tumblr.
It's very her.
Yeah.
She's so Converse with her prom dress, like as an energy.
Converse with prom dress is so her tea.
But you know what I mean though? Like she
Totally.
embodies that like through and through. And this dress, like it just feels like I appreciate the thing I love about Diabetica. This is not my aesthetic, but she had a through line and commitment to her aesthetic
Right.
the entire season. And the times that it clicked with me, it clicked hard because of that.
Like the heart on runway.
Where it's less her trying to fit or do what they think they want to see. She did, I'm trying to fit my drag to these prompts. And I
Right.
really do respect that. It was always the punk, the kind of counterculture, rough around the edges approach to it.
Yeah.
And so I respect her consistency.
Totally.
And then in terms of pretty dresses, beautiful gowns, I really like Angeria. Nope. Well,
Andrea's is pretty. She looks like she's going to a funeral.
that's
though.
the thing. Everyone's is just like beautiful gowns. Because
Yeah.
like I was gonna say, I really like what Camden and Bosco wore. I think they're both gorgeous, but they're just beautiful gowns.
Right.
I think it's more impressive on Bosco because we've seen her in lingerie all season. So to see her in like an actual finished pretty dress with like a train and everything.
It felt like a through line from her burlesque performance at the very beginning with the flower. It felt like the finished product of that evolution.
I see that. I struggle with Camden's not because it's bad, it's gorgeous, but she brought such a high level of drag all season. She needed to have a bigger finale piece, in my opinion. And this was a little more simple. But
And the slit is kind of weird to me. The positioning
yeah,
of it.
I like her. Like I like the lighter hair. I like the accessories, but it is a little simpler.
Totally. I think Willow's is such a unique representation of who she is as this kind of wild child.
Yeah,
I love the creativity of it all. And then going this like gray corpsey purple for this rat is so gross
Oh,
and
my
glamour at the
mouse.
same time. I love her.
I'm a mouse.
Oh, I'm a mouse. So we already talked enough about the lip sync, which I think we both think is kind of a floparella. They both get saved. This now marks, I think, number 7 because we had the what, 3? So we had this in this zone. We had Snatch Game, we had Bosco, and we had this one now. And then prior, we had, what was it, Daytona Wind, and the, what was the one they decided that nobody was going to go home again?
There's
They
another
had
one.
another one. And then if you technically count the first 2 episodes.
Well, because there's the one with Georges and Jazz. Oh yeah, the girl group challenge.
Mhm. Oh, that's right.
It's just
Georges
like,
Jasmine one.
and this one again, it was unexpected because it's top 5.
Going into the finale.
Going to the finale, you know there's got to at least be elimination because up to this point, we're primed to it usually being a top 3
Right.
or a top 4 in a lip sync Lollapalooza, which is what we'd think going forward
Right.
to the next episode. There's going to be a Lollapalooza. They have to get rid of someone. So for them to do a double save going into the finale and having a top 5 in the finale. Okay, and that's the other thing.
Tell me the thing.
It would have been different if it had been like season 12.
Oh, fully. But Jackie did deserve to go to the finale with them. I fully believe.
I agree too. But it's like, you know what I mean though? It'd have been different if it had been a whole season of them slaying the house down boots.
Sure.
And really bringing, even season 15 and Lucy had been there.
Let loose.
Let loose.
A lot of this season, I love this cast, but it was kind of low key, low energy all season.
Yeah, and so I think it was just hard to have a top 5 after a season of everyone getting so many chances and it being so low key. Whereas, like, if it had been a season where everyone was slaying all day, every day, bringing it to the fullest, and then like at the very end being like, you know what, fuck it, y'all have been bringing it so hard, let's do a top 5.
Yeah.
Even this past season, when it was Q, like I didn't live for Q at all. Like, don't get me wrong. Fuck that bitch. No, I'm kidding.
Or even what was the last season that we reviewed that was in the US, All Star 6, if it was Trinity up in the top 5.
Yeah,
as well.
it's just like, I just feel like there are other seasons where it could have been more
effective.
Exactly. It would have had more of an impact where it felt like, wow, they like made an exception because everyone was so slay. But there just been so many second, third chances this season where like a top 5 was like, girl, come on.
The thing that I talk about all the time, and I've mentioned to you, that they always follow the same format. There's always a front runner, and that is tied up currently between Bosco and Camden.
Yeah.
There's always the kind of quirky girl, which would be Willow.
Yeah.
There's the antagonizer, which is Daya. And then they've got to have the underdog character, which is kind of Bosco, but is also kind of Angeria at this point, which you were mentioning, the undercutting of the roles.
Yeah.
Angeria gets an edit that she is not only a frontrunner, but also an underdog at the same time.
Right.
She's not poised as someone who's or not pinned as someone who's going to win through the edit. She's always kind of like the bridesmaid that is doing fine enough.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so interesting that she gets that edit because she's got winner energy. Highlights from the reunion, because there wasn't really a ton. Cornbread's uncle outfit, referencing Willow's
the uncle
entrance.
outfit was hilarious.
I loved the ankle outfit. Daya and Jasmine really get into it.
That's like one of the only things I remember from this reunion is Daya like really got into it.
She
with
got
her.
upset, but also, I mean, they do mention that she was getting a lot of death threats, and so I think that probably really filtered her frustration.
Okay, and that's what it felt like, is because she wasn't even upset about when Daya and Jasmine got into it. This is really my only point about the reunion. Daya's upset at Jasmine felt less about the actual beef and more about what Jasmine was insinuating or how it was making Daya look.
Sure.
And like her genuine frustration seemed to come out, you're making me look this way, or it's coming across like I didn't do this stuff, which is not the case.
Right.
And Daya, like you said, like because she had been experiencing XYZ, like it really felt like she was fed up, and it was like, I'm not going to have any more like shit thrown my way or like any more like assumptions made about me because of what was said or XYZ.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, it was probably the most heated thing that happened all season.
Yeah.
Right next to Bosco and Camden, but even then they squished that pretty quick. Maddie does get the golden boot, for her Glamazonian Glamazon Prime look, and Lala represents that. I don't know if she deserved the golden boot necessarily. I think there were plenty of other bad looks all season.
There were a lot of bad looks, but I do think that I do think that choosing Maddie was appropriate.
I would agree.
It felt fair.
It did. For the finale, do you have any standout looks? I think that June looks delicious in this final look. This like silvery printed gown with this laid ass hair.
She do look good.
She looks
stunning. Do look good.
I thought she looked the best. I really did love Carrie's Infinity Gauntlet, because there was that meme that was going around at the time where she was turning all the girls trans. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And the Infinity Gauntlet thing. So she incorporated that into her finale look.
Iconic.
Because I think this season we had Jasmine come out, we had Bosco come out, we had Willow and Cornbread all come out. So she had 4 jewels on her thing to be like, I made them all trans.
So good.
I lived for that. And then I loved Maddie's Elvis look. I loved that Elvis look.
That was really hot.
Especially being in Vegas. It was very appropriate.
And also, yeah, it's funny because, like, and then she ends up moving to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Rusicals, her All Stars 4 outfit. Do you remember that one? She wore this in, I think it was All Stars 4 episode 8. She wore the exact same thing. But I liked the styling of this one better. The gem was more interesting, and I liked the fisting gloves.
Not the fisting gloves.
They were fisting gloves.
Just a little fisting glove.
We'll chat about these really quick. So finale performances. I want to get your opinion on if you think this wrapped up their storyline. Angeria gets Check My Track Record. I think, is that enough? I don't think it was.
I feel like she could have had other things to go through. The track record was not it. It could have been about her being like, not the mother of the group, but like the like professional of the group, or like the like diva.
Sure.
Because she came in so hot, and like also could have been more like Southern Belle. Like, I don't know.
I think it could have easily been a Southern Belle number.
She basically gave them material with her opening number from the talent show, the check number.
Check.
They could have just followed what she was referencing in that and be like, oh, this is her POV.
Give me the check. Give me the check.
Yeah.
Bosco has Devil, which in my opinion, I feel like this was such a different brand for her to kind of move over to Spoopy. And it felt like it was referencing that one nun outfit that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Wanted to put a pin in that.
Oh.
It was sort of discordant from the rest of her role in this season.
I see what you mean. And then she went with like the biblically accurate angel.
Right.
It was a hot look. Well, even like her red carpet look was like a kind of like Chernabog, like demon, dragon kind of look. And then, yeah, going into this, she definitely embraced more of like the creature of it.
Which is fascinating because that's not what I associated with her up until this point.
No,
I didn't think it was great branding.
Yeah.
Her and Angeria stumbled, but they were like the kind of front runners right now. And so it was interesting to see them fall so far back. Daya did Fighter. I thought this look was crazy. Those like tendril things in the back.
She ate.
The dragonfly. But it was so good.
It was a really cool look, the dragonfly.
And then the number being, I don't have to fight just because I'm a fighter. I think that was a nice end cap on her storyline, because she was combative and she knew she was. And she, was just like, I don't have to fight everybody all the time. I can, but I don't have to. I think it was a nice bow on her story. Camden's referencing yet another very specific moment that I fell down, but I got up and then I won.
Yeah.
I kind of lived that it was all Queen inspired. And the song, I remember she mentioned in an interview what she wanted the vibe to be, because they get to submit a song and say, I want it to sound like this.
Yeah.
It sounded like Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Yes.
It had the same vibe as Don't Stop Me Now.
And she like really worked it out with like also the way that she incorporated her like ballet into it.
Yeah.
With the like giving it to you like a lady.
Uh-huh.
Like all that it was so good.
She was incredible. And then Willow's I Hate People. One of the most memorable finale
Yes.
performances.
So good.
Probably right next to like Legs. Legs is very memorable to me. And then this one with the pre-evolution to Joella's mattress look coming. think about Joella's mattress.
No, because I
then- And then
am.
hold on, I'm pulling it up. The wiki refreshed and it sent me all the way to the top. And then I want you to look at this and I want you to think this is what it evolved into. But then she reveals that to the multiple heads, which I lived.
But okay, I'm picturing the multiple heads, but one of the heads is Joella.
It's literally her. That's the pre-evolution to Joella.
No, but she rips it off and it's one of the Joellas through the pink quilted glory hole.
Yes.
I hate people, but don't forget the Ella Ella Ella.
Period. And then we get the Drag Race live cast coming out and doing Winning is the New Losing. Losing is the new winning. Losing is whatever it
All
is.
Stars T, winning is the new losing.
It's Jada, Cameron, Trinity K, Kahana, Derek, and Naomi. I forgot that this was the lineup for a bit.
Iconic lineup. This is more akin to like the Untucked lineup.
Totally.
This is kind of a transition between the Drag Race reality show into the Drag Race Untucked lineup. Yeah. Like those are kind of two cornerstone casts. With the reality show being the first one. That's like the first OG like cornerstone cast.
Yeah.
And I feel like that second one is kind of, like the next generation.
Yeah. Rue determines that Camden and Willow are the finalists. And they have to go get ready while Simone comes out in what is considered by many fans to be the most controversial step down look. She looked hot. I don't know what the issue is.
She looks hot. I love it. And also just because it might not to your standards look expensive, whatever, y'all need to understand how expensive that look was.
Yeah.
Y'all need to understand the diamonds, the incrustations.
It was so encrusted.
Yeah, like that is that's not a pair of H&M jeans. Like that jean had double digit, maybe even triple digit amount of hours worked on it.
Yeah.
Stoning it and getting it perfect. So it's like,
and that hair.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm here to see someone's specific aesthetic and vision just fully budget, fully maxed out. Like, I'm more for that than the same gorgeous
gown.
What's his name? Diego Montoya gown, And I love his designs. Yeah. Like, it's always a blessing to see something he creates. But it's also cool to just see someone like, this is their style, but just if they had infinite money glitch and they could do the most, like how would they do it? And to see someone like Simone who has a very clear aesthetic to choose it to be something like that, I just think that's cool.
Me too.
Because she could do anything, but she chose that. And I think that we should pay attention to that because it's speaking to her POV.
And she looked hot.
She looks so hot.
Rue then announces that the winner is not actually getting 100K. They're getting 150K. And that the runner-up is getting 50K.
And wild that since then it's gone up even more.
It's also kind of wild because by this point for Project Runway, they were getting like 500K, a studio worth of items, a car,
literally
models,
like a
makeup. And it's like, Jesus. Didn't this season and All Stars 7 and then All Stars 9, weren't there like runner-up prizes, but All Stars 8 didn't have one? Because Candy Muse 2 times, but that she was on didn't get a runner-up prize.
Pissed.
Because didn't 12 have a runner-up prize?
Did it?
I felt maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm so wrong.
I forget, but
in any case, the finale song is Cher's Gimme Gimme Gimme. What did you think about this as far as Cher's ABBA covers? I have an opinion, but I'll let you answer first.
It's so hard because I love Cher so
Mhm.
much. I don't even think about her ABBA music.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm alone in this because people love Cher covering ABBA, but I'm like, but don't you also love ABBA doing ABBA?
Right.
And don't you love Cher doing Cher?
Maybe they were too expensive.
Yeah, I
Maybe
get
the
that.
original was too much.
Yeah, but I'm of the opinion where it's like, well, yeah, because why haven't we gone to Dancing Queen lip sync? Like, what the fuck?
Seriously. Maybe ABBA's
But
so
yeah,
expensive.
I'm of the opinion, but even just at gays who feel like Cher singing ABBA is the tea, where it's like, no. Well, I mean, yes, it's great,
Mhm.
but I also just love hearing ABBA, like
Yeah.
the OG ABBA singing ABBA, and I love hearing Cher singing Cher songs. Like,
Mhm.
I don't need to hear one gay icon singing another gay icon's music when I could hear them both on their own. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Do you remember when they did the TikTok version of Bloody Mary? The eye roll you just let out. The thing that I find interesting, on top of what you said, is that Gimme 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 is also just an odd wrap up. It's about
Yeah.
men. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but is that the most triumphant finale thing?
I would have loved more of like a ABBA finale where it's like gimme 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 one other song Voulez-Vous,
Voulez-Vous is good.
and then
I think if they were
Dancing
going to
Queen.
do a Cher as ABBA, they should have done Winner Takes It All.
Yeah,
They're
Winner
in
Takes All.
Vegas.
Okay, so yeah, Dancing Queen, that other song, and then Winner Takes It All is the final song.
Yeah, do an ABBA finale. But like Winner Takes It All makes so much more sense because it's triumphant. The prize package just went up. They're in Vegas.
Yeah,
It makes sense to me. I really liked Willow's look. That oversized jacket to the oversized pants to then to the slutty little purple bodysuit.
it was so iconic. I actually really loved it. It was so funny.
I hated Camden's Guy Fieri jumpsuit. I hated it. And that
I
hair.
was not getting my best life. It's true.
I forgot to mention that Cornbread got Miss Con. And I was very happy about that. She got that from Lala presenting it to her.
Oh yeah, good for her.
Willow wins the whole thing. And she thanks Cornbread's ankle.
As she should.
She should.
As she should.
She has such a odd parallel record to Evie. But I'm so not even mad about it because Willow just felt like someone who should be the front runner.
Willow felt like an it girl. It's true. She
It was
always
very
did.
electrobionic to me. It was like she did so good all season.
Yeah.
Like this is the winner. She felt like it. All right. You had a controversial opinion. And then I have a surprise for you.
Oh yeah. Okay, my controversial opinion, because we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about this when we were discussing the lip sync Lollapalooza and why, it was Bosco and Jasmine, and if we also knew because we didn't want there to be multiple double eliminations in a row, maybe that's why we eliminated Jasmine. But I felt like I get that point, but also I was like, if we knew that Bosco was in the bottom and she had that chocolate bar, and we knew that Bosco lost to Camden, and whoever was going to be in the bottom was going to be in the bottom with Bosco, in my opinion, they should have let it be Angeria in the bottom for more stakes. And it was Bosco versus Angeria, and then maybe Angeria beats her to Swept Away.
Oh.
Maybe Bosco still wins, or Bosco loses to Angeria and she has a chocolate bar. But I just was not here for Jasmine being
picked on.
Yes, I think she beat Angeria to Love Don't Cost a Thing by Jennifer Lopez, and I will stay fighting that point.
Yeah.
I think it would have been interesting if Jasmine had been safe for that. She would have had the emotional turmoil of being safe over Angeria, and then Angeria's in the bottom with Bosco, and then they have to duel it out. And then maybe Angeria does have a moment of brilliance to Swept Away by Diana Ross, and then Bosco gets the chocolate bar out, or she sends Angeria home, and then it's gag.
And that's tea.
Yeah, and then that's tea, mama.
That's the tea.
And that's the tea.
So I have a surprise for you. We have listener questions.
What?
I was going to surprise this with you. So we're going to do two just because we've really compacted a lot into this episode. And going forward, we won't squish so many together. This feels like very OG parts of the podcast where we were doing an entire season in like 2 hours.
Doing the most. I love this.
And when we go into our next season, which is UK versus the World 1, it's only a 6-episode season. So we're going to do 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice and
we
chill.
have more power. Yeah.
Okay. So I have 2 that I picked for us.
I love it.
Do you believe the popular fan... Oh, this comes from Willie Mations. Do you believe the popular fan sentiment that Cornbread was slated for the finale before her uncle went clique? And if so... Who did she replace out of Camden, Willow, Bosco, and Angeria?
Hi, what Willie Mason? What was it? Hi, Willie. Thanks for your question. I mean, obviously we would have had to see her this season because it's funny because she was doing bad right before she left because she flopped the ball and she also flopped the commercial challenge.
Totally.
But she has such finalist energy. And I see her doing well in the challenges that came to follow, like Daytona Wind.
Totally.
The roast. Anything else. Basically,
the lip sync.
Yeah.
She would have absolutely devoured.
She would have done good at pretty much any other challenge. So I think that
Snatch
she would have at least made it to... Well, no, yeah, she would have at least made it to the roast. But then at that point, no, it is the finale. Because she would have been a cinch to at least top 7. She would have made it through the roast. And then she would have made it to top 5.
She may have been bottom in Glamazonian Prime. I almost said Glamazonian Airways.
Glamazonian Airways.
And honestly... If Cornbread was there in Glamazon Prime, remember I talked about Carrie, and I specifically mentioned that I felt like she was so underutilized, and she did so bad in Glamazon Prime. I think that they would have scrapped the Maddie and Jasmine thing, and it would have fully been Carrie and Cornbread in the bottom.
Wow.
And Cornbread would have sniped out Carrie because her look was so bad, but Jasmine had more story. And Maddie, I think they were like ready to scrap. But I feel like Cornbread would have drawn out some stuff in Maddie and given her an extra week.
That's crazy. No, I think she would have been there probably instead of Daya. I hate to say it.
You think?
If not Daya, then probably Bosco.
Yeah, Bosco for sure.
Bosco.
Well,
because I think Angeria and Willow would have still been there. Faux show and Camden. I agree with all 3 of them still being there. I think it would have been them 3 and Cornbread.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have even been a top 5. How about that?
I think it may not have been. Do you think other people would have gone home at different times then?
Yeah, I think a lot of things could have changed. Like a lot of timelines, a lot of storylines, because also like Cornbread would have been dominating the space in a different way and the energy in a different way. So certain things wouldn't have had as much energy like given to it.
Yeah. Maybe a lot of those fights wouldn't have happened.
I think the Daya versus Jasmine and Georges kind of stuff would have played out a lot differently with Cornbread being there.
Yeah, I agree. And then this is from Blaze. Did they really just bring Maddie on for the straight gag and then not even give her a chance and eliminated her?
Hi, Blaze. It feels like it though, kind of, doesn't it?
Totally.
I feel like, honestly, Maddie kind of defied the odds because it felt like she was put in a box and it felt like, just like some people are casted for their lineage, like their drag family pedigree, etc. It did feel like she was cast for like her shock value. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just made eye contact with a spider that's on the wall right above my bed.
Oh my God, I see it.
Yeah, she's huge, isn't she?
She's huge. $1,000 to go eat it right now.
A dragonfly. But yeah, wait, what were we talking about? Sorry, that spider pulled me out of reality.
Just to get eliminated.
Yeah, it felt like she was a lot more slay than they were ready for.
Yeah, she was so funny. I think she is.
I think post show especially, she's really risen to the odds, or risen to the occasion, or defied the odds.
Defied gravity.
Yeah, she. Yeah, I feel like it definitely helped get her cast. The gag of it, and I think that it just like the stars aligned because she did have someone she knew in Diabetica.
Right.
I think that it all just like aligned and worked out so perfectly. So I think like, oh, this would be a perfect time to cast her. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that's the only reason she got cast. Not the diversity hire. But like it definitely helped.
Sure.
Because like, I don't know, Drag Race will always love like having something like that.
Someone that's just a little bit offbeat that they can sort of exploit for their own joy and benefit.
Yeah.
And I feel like Maddie is such an interesting player because I watched so much of her YouTube show.
Yeah.
She's basically the same person on Drag Race.
Totally, but she was edited so differently.
Yeah.
The presentation of her package makes it feel like they definitely had a vibe in mind for her. And that's not necessarily what she was delivering, but it was like, okay, well, this is how we're going to wrap it up and present her. So that's that.
That's that on that. We had a straight person stop asking for things that are alt because we already gave it to you. You pigs. Take it. Yeah. I mean, I just don't know if her personality translates that well to TV. And I certainly don't think the producers knew what to do with her. Because like you said, she was kind of slaying.
Yeah.
She was kind of hilarious in the challenges. And she was interesting on the runway besides the glamazon look. But like, man, I don't think they were ready for what she was giving. And I don't know if they wanted to move around anybody else in the roster.
True.
They certainly were not willing to sacrifice Carrie. They didn't want to use her, but they were not willing to sacrifice Carrie or there was someone else who was horrible in that was safe. God, I don't remember who the other girl was. There was another girl that was safe. But yeah, I don't think they were willing to. Was it Deja? Was Deja safe? I don't think they were ready to get rid of either one of them.
Yeah.
So it was like Maddie was sort of the one that they picked on to get booted out, which felt gross and unfair for her. So it felt like she deserved a lot more. And I also feel like they did not come to her defense that much. They released that she was the first straight contestant. People were jumping down their throats about it. And Drag Race was sort of just like, our job is done.
Yeah.
And said Sailor Moon.
They were a little bit like Maury about it.
Right. And it's like, you didn't do anything. What do you mean your job is done?
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, Gal. Any final thoughts about Drag Race season 14?
Oh, man. It's a funny season. I think 15 and 16 we're about to get set up for two really strong seasons. 15 and 16 are some of the stronger double-digit seasons, along with 12.
I would agree.
It's like 10, 11 are like, it's like too bad, and then we get a really good one. Yeah. So 10 and 11 were like, 12 was amazing. 13 and 14 are like,
Yeah.
And then actually, no, 15 and 16 are both slay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why this season, it's a good season, but it's coming up a little bit short because I think the last two seasons have been so good.
Yeah.
So I think 14 is like...
It feels like a filler.
Yeah, it's in a hard place because it comes after like a pandemic season. So it's like maybe we had that expectation of like also like, okay, this isn't like a full-on pandemic season. Like maybe things will be a bit better.
Yeah.
But it's like... it still feels like we're thematically vibe-wise transitioning more than anything into a different era and a different time.
Yeah.
And it feels a little bit more settled in the coming seasons. But this is still a great group. I think also like it could have used just different casting synergy, like mashups to kind of create a different energy overall. Because it was very low-key.
Yeah. Can I say... It's very season 8 vibes, but almost opposites of each other. Like 8 was so short and 14 is so long. The casts are great, but they don't have a ton of synergy amongst each other.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned 12. 12 is this magic, beautiful lightning in a bottle. And like 13 is so chaotic and nobody likes each other. So it's just a mess.
Yeah.
And same with like 11. Like, there's some casts that they get together and they're so good, they make the competition better. There's some that get together, they're so chaotic that they're just a mess to watch, but you love. Like, season 5 is so messy, but it's good to watch.
Totally.
And I feel like there are seasons like 8 and 14, even like 7 to some extent, where those casts just don't gel very well. And they are probably close after the show, but on their synergy is weird.
Yeah.
Similar to me.
No, I get that totally. It could just use a couple different girls and like all that, and it could have gone totally different.
Swap out just like one.
Yeah.
So if we're to believe that, who is it? Tamisha? No. Mistress was supposed to be on, I think it was 13.
Oh.
I think one of those girls was supposed to be cast earlier. Tamisha was supposed to be somewhere else. I think Tamisha was supposed to be on 12. I think Mistress was supposed to be on 13. And then if like people got scooted around and moved up, I wonder like if any of the 13 girls would have maybe been better here, like a Denali, you know. I bet Denali would have thrived in this group. I want a Drag Race AU where all the girls that were supposed to be cast on other seasons actually get put in those seasons and then shift people up through the other seasons afterwards.
I know. Could you imagine Denali in this group? It would be crazy.
Yeah, or really any of those 13 girls could have been fun in here.
Yeah. I could most see Denali or Elliot in this group. Okay.
They would have gathered Elliot back up.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been funny. I think it would have been she would have been interesting in this group. But yeah. I would have liked to have seen it still. I agree.
Yeah. But that is the end of Drag Race. It's season 14.
Wow.
We're jumping into UK versus the World 1, which honestly makes me want to throw up a little bit.
Yeah.
Thinking about Pangina crying again.
I'm Blue holding my trembling jaw.
Lemon going home first.
Oh. Well, at least now we have a little bit more comfort knowing how things end. It's crazy that 2 people who get eliminated in this season go back and win.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And then Baga and Juju just like making it all the way to the end in the most chaotic way possible.
I'm so tired already.
I'm
already exhausted.
I feel like it's going to be a lot of us grumbling.
Right.
This could turn in, I don't know. Do we want it to be 1 or 2?
I guess we'll see how it goes.
We'll see the vibe.
We could go to record the first episode and then we get through the first 3 episodes. Like, okay, it's been 30 minutes. Should we just do the whole season? No, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning into this extra long segment of 14. Remember, you're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. And that is all you can do. And goodbye.
Bye.